Hello friends, and welcome back to Swiftlessons for another lead guitar tutorial. In today's session, I'm breaking down the iconic Neal Schon guitar solo from Journey's Lights. And in the interest of getting a nice drive-in, bluesy guitar tone, I'm finally breaking out my PSA 2.0 by SansAmp. Now, this is an all-analog, digitally programmable amp simulator that honestly is more than capable of doing all the heavy lifting of my go-to amplifier, the Fender Supersonic. Okay, so I've zeroed in on the perfect preset here, number 26. I'm recording direct out of the PSA 2.0 into my Motu 1248 recording interface on Logic Pro. Now that you have the solo in your ear, let's get started learning it lick by lick. Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with line number 1 of our tab, which you can download at patreon.com/swiftlessons, along with tabs for all the scales that Neal's using in the solo. So demonstrating line number 1 real slow, it's going to sound like this, starting from that walk-up that we hear in the original track. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. Okay, so that began with Neal jamming in the D major pentatonic scale. And also its upper extension. Alright, he's getting started sliding on the low E string, back and forth. Alright, then, a very cool ascending lick, just basically going up the scale to complete measure 1. Alright, so I slid up to the 9th fret of the A string. Then on the D string, we're going to play 7, 9, 7 on the G, and then 9 sliding up to 11 on the same string, getting us up into that upper extension of the scale. So, alright, then onto the B string, 10 up to 12 to complete the measure. So, now we're in 12/8 time, which is basically like counting in 4, but with a triplet feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and So you can slide on the after beat number 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then that will get you into measure number 2, where we get into some bends. Okay, with the slide now, that first measure should sound like this. Okay, now moving into measure 2, it's gonna sound like this with big bends. Okay, so the 12th fret of the high E string, bending 3 times. Then we're gonna play 12, 10, 12, 10. Add in some heavy vibrato. So, now setting up the response to that lick, we're playing 12 on the B string and then 10 on the high E string. I like to slide up into that position even though I don't hear it on the original track. That gets you to measure 3 where we have the response. Okay, so we bent 12 twice on the high E string. Alright, then we're going to play 12, 10, 12, and then vibrato the 10th fret of the B string. Alright, from there we're just going to grab the 10th fret of the high E string, this time with the ring finger, bend it up about a whole step, and then return down to start the next line of tablature. Okay, you put that entire line of tab together, we have line number 1 complete now. 3 measures of music. A 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Alright, now all of these bends are going to sound great if you can add some dead strings to them. So, especially right here. Raking on those strings with the palm covering them. Making sure that the only active note is the one that you're fretting. Okay, adds a little bit of texture to your playing. Okay, very good everybody. Now jumping into line 2 of our tab, starting from that big bend on the 10th fret of the high E string. Sounds like this, real slow. Okay, breaking that down, starting with that first measure of line 2. Again, it sounds like this, real slow. Okay, so we started off with that big bend, 10th fret of the high E string, bending up and returning. Right there is where we start line 2 of the tab. We're gonna have this descending rock lick in the major pentatonic scale, main position. All right, that was 7 on the high E string, 10 down to 7 with a pull off. Then on the G string, all right, we're gonna bend the 9th fret of the G string about a half step, return, and then pull off down to 7. Now you can bend up or down, it doesn't matter. Okay, I think I prefer down though. All right, then 9 on the D, and then vibrato on the 7th fret of the G string, the tonic. Okay, put that together, we have the big bend. All right, then finishing the measure. That was a hammer on 7 up to 9 on the D string, 7 on the G, and then 9 on the G string. All right, that gets us to the next measure where we're gonna start bending, but so far you have. All right, now into measure 2 of line 2. Okay, so we're bending the G string, 9th fret up twice. All right, then we're gonna return back down to 9. All right, that was a pull off, 9 down to 7, back up to 9 for some vibrato. All right, from there we're gonna slide up, 9 up to 11 on the G string. We're in the upper extension, 10 to 12 on the B. All right, to wrap up this line of tablature. Okay, put all that together and we have real slow. All right, and lines 1 and 2 together should sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay, now moving into line 3, as the B minor chord comes back in, he's gonna get started with some Hendrix-style double stops, then get into a very cool stacking lick descending down the scale. So this line's gonna sound like this real slow. All right, a little bit faster. Okay, so I'm barring the 10th fret of the B string and high E string, and I'm hammering up one whole step to the 12th fret of the B string. Okay, so it was plucking those 2 strings, hammering up, and striking them twice more. Repeat that again. All right, and then finishing this little section, we're pulling off 12 down to 10. If you want to keep the high E string 10th fret in there, you can. And then vibrato in the 12th fret of the G string. Finishing up this measure, we're going to play 10 to 12 on the B string before stacking our way down the major pentatonic scale. Okay, so measure 1 again. Okay, now moving into the next measure, over D major. This very cool stacking trick, descending through the major pentatonic scale. Okay, so I'm going to call out the fret numbers. We're playing 10-10, high E string and B string, 12-7 on the B string. All right, then we're playing 10-9, B string and G, and then 7-7. Let's stop there and practice and keep that pick alternating. All right, by now you're starting to see the pattern. We're just kind of dancing back and forth between the two walls that we have in this major pentatonic box. Okay, so. All right, now we're on the G string and we're playing 9 and 9, G string and D string. Back to 7 and 7. 9 and 9, 7 and 7, up to 9 on the A string, going down to 5. So, all right, once you've gotten to the 5th fret of the A string, we're going to play. All right, that was the 7th fret of the A string, bending and returning and pulling off down to 5. All right, and from there, we're gonna slide up and get ready for line number 4. Put all of line 3 together and we have. Okay, very good everybody. Now we're jumping into our 4th and final line. First, a demonstration at a slow tempo coming out of the end of line 3. It's gonna sound like this. Okay, so that's pretty simple. That first measure, once again, starting on the 15th fret of the high E string. Should sound like this. Okay, so 15th fret high E string, bending it up, returning, and pulling off down a whole step. Then go into the 15th fret of the B string for some vibrato. Now the response to that lick is going to be almost identical, but we're going to end on the 15th fret of the high E string this time. All right, then 13-13 with a slight bend. Getting ourselves into the next measure. Resolving and vibratoing on the 15th fret of the B string. So far you have. Okay, now we can end it by going up into what we would call BB's box position. All right, so I'm going 14 up to 16 on the G string, then 15, 17 on the B. All right, moving this up a whole step, 19th fret, and also the 17th fret of the high E string with a double stop. We're gonna actually play that 4 times. Before turning it into a little melody. Okay, so that little tail end is 19, 20, 19, 17, and then 19 on the G string, vibratoing to end the solo. Okay, so you put that together and we have. And all of line 4. All right, now let's put lines 1 through 4 together to play the entire solo. Okay, very well done everybody. Now you're ready to practice through the entire solo. I'm gonna play it at a slow tempo, see if you can play along. A 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... Okay, congratulations everybody. Practice that nice and slow. Remember, it takes hours and hours of practice to build things up to speed. For me, it took me a lot of practice, especially with that descending stack and run. So take your time, be patient, and remember, the key to success in terms of building speed is to practice everything at a very, very slow tempo. Master it so that way every single note is perfect, nice and slow, and then gradually increase the speed.